If you're feeling stuck or struggling with art block and want to create without any kind of pressure, then this tutorial is just for you. Hi, I'm Zainab, once a realist painter turned abstract artist. I've been painting for over 6 years, and on this channel I share with you all of my tips and tricks. In this tutorial, I'll be talking you through everything you need from supplies, techniques, and step-by-step on how to paint this gorgeous painting. So grab your brushes, hit subscribe, and let's embrace color, movement, and the joy of painting freely. For supplies today, I have a 40 by 50 centimeter canvas. For brushes, I'll be using a long flat brush, a filbert brush, and also a dagger brush, and a wide flat brush. I've also grabbed two kinds of palette knife, a more long and pointy one, and also a flat one, but whatever palette knives you have will also be absolutely fine. I also have a jar of water, a paper palette, and for colours today, I'm going to be using burnt sienna, some burnt umber, light portrait pink, quinacridone magenta, some white, and to my light portrait pink, quinacridone magenta, and burnt umber, I'm adding some burnt sienna to kind of give it all a similar undertone. Starting off, I'm grabbing my large wide brush and I'm taking some water and I'm going to be very generously wetting all of my canvas so that our first layer is going to be loose and light with the colours and they're going to bleed everywhere. So I'm taking my long flat brush, grabbing some of my burnt sienna, and I'm just going kind of starting off by just placing down some colour. Now, painting intuitively is really trying hard to let go and not think about any kind of particular subject. So I have nothing in mind right now. It is just placing the brush wherever my hand wants it to go. I'm kind of just playing freely, moving my hand, and whenever my intuition is to put it down, I listen to it and I place down the brush. I'm grabbing some of the burnt umber and burnt sienna, and I want to create some depth by mixing different colours on top of each other. This is all whilst it's wet on wet, so we're not trying to achieve perfection, we're not trying to achieve the most beautiful looking painting. All we want to do is work on letting go and creating a space where your mind is not in control. Let it take a rest. Our minds are already so busy, we already do so much thinking every day, so sometimes painting can be your way to just give your mind a break and actually just play into that part of your creativity and your intuition where you can just explore things without really thinking them through. So I'm just grabbing my brush and I'm playing things however and whichever way feels right. Sometimes I'm doing some strokes smaller, sometimes I'm doing it a bit bigger, sometimes I'm placing a little bit of colour. But as you can see, the wet canvas really allows the colours to spread and create these beautiful patterns. Continuing with the wet on wet painting, I've sprayed my canvas again and I'm grabbing some quinacridone magenta and mixing some of that burnt sienna in. I'm using my dagger brush, and again, I'm just creating these really quick strokes. I'm holding the brush midway, so not all the way down to the tip and not all the way up to the end of the brush. And I'm just creating these really fast strokes. Sometimes we're putting a few together, sometimes they're alone. We're going in different directions. We're just exploring. These may be florals. To someone else, it may look like something completely different. It doesn't really matter what you're painting or how you're painting. The important thing is that you're practicing letting go and enjoying the process. This is what creates a piece that has soul and movement, when you just fully let go and immerse yourself into the experience. So I'm playing with all of these colours whilst they're wet on wet to allow them the chance to bleed and blend together. I'm not mixing or blending anything on the canvas itself, but because everything is wet, as I'm putting my brush down, it collects any of the paint that is already on the canvas, and because it's all wet, it kind of drags it into whatever you paint on top. So if I'm painting some strokes that are going downwards, it's going to grab some of that pink and some of that brown, and it's going to create this beautiful movement where the colors are just really working in harmony together, and it just looks really lovely. Follow your own rhythm and see what feels right. For me, this started to feel really nice, and I wanted to let it completely dry before grabbing my palette knife and going with some burnt umber whichever color pleases you. And I'm now going to use my flat palette knife, and I'm not blending the colors together, and I'm pushing down my palette knife and quickly pulling it away, lifting it off the canvas, so I get this pulled down effect where you can see all the colors that were on my palette knife exactly the way that I picked them up. And I'm going to be placing these around the canvas. I'm also picking up some of the quinacridone, some of the white, and just kind of play around and see what feels right to you. Sometimes I'm doing it smaller, sometimes I'm doing it a bit bigger, sometimes I'm doing it one on its own and clustering. It really is about playing with the movement and how you want the piece to feel. I personally don't enjoy when everything follows each other. So for me, it is always about creating some sense of variety so that things look different to you wherever you're looking on the canvas. So you're going to look at this flower and you won't be able to see one that is exactly similar to it on the canvas again. So have fun, enjoy, play with your colors. Take this time to explore and see what your intuition is calling you to do. It may be different from what I'm doing, and that is exactly the beauty of painting and listening to what is inside of you, because we all have creativity and we just need to learn to embrace it and also nurture it and make sure that you are listening to its guidance, because it really can lead you to creating something so beautiful and so unique and allowing you to discover something that you really enjoy. This painting was telling me it was missing a little bit of something, so I grabbed some gold and my pointy palette knife and I just started placing it around the canvas, and instantly it felt like it was the right thing to do. It's just one of those moments that you have, like when you're trying on a dress or you've bought something and it fits perfectly and it looks exactly the way you want it to in your mind. This is exactly how it felt like when I started putting down the gold. It just felt right, and it was like the missing piece to my puzzle. So I kept playing around, changing the direction, and this was so lovely because it was a different shape to previously the other palette knife, which is why if you have different kind of palette knives, or you can even use a wooden spoon, or you can use a palette knife in your kitchen and just play around with the shapes, because each one will give you a different outcome, which will look really lovely when you put them together as well. So I'm also grabbing some color, whatever is left on my palette. What I really love about using a palette knife is that it adds texture to the painting and you can see all of the thickness of it as you're going. So the last thing that I decided to do was grab my filbert, and I'm taking some of that portrait pink and quinacridone magenta, and I'm going in and creating these kind of wavy strokes. I just wanted to add a different sense of a shape, so I felt like I had a lot of short and brisk strokes, so I wanted to add some more circular, because the filbert brush does give you a more rounded shape versus the flat brush, which gives you a sharper edge because of its shape, which is why I really recommend using different kinds of brushes whenever you're creating an abstract piece, because it is going to automatically give you difference in its strokes and appearance and the way it places down on your canvas, which allows you to experiment and explore a little bit with working with different kinds of brushes. So still using my filbert brush, I'm creating these really small, tiny little petals anywhere and everywhere that feels right. An easy tip that you can use to let go and learn how to paint with your intuition versus with your mind is just to not paint slowly. The slower you paint, the more time you have to think about what it looks like, whether you like it or not, whether you're thinking about your opinion on it, whether there is something you want to change. You can dwell on how much and whatever it is that you are painting. When you paint quickly and you just kind of put down a stroke and then another and another and another, and you move around your canvas in any and every direction, you are cutting off the ability to think hard or think twice about what you're doing, and your intuition can take control and it can become the leader in your direction. So suddenly you're now painting without really thinking, and it's your creativity that is leading you. So to finish off this painting, I had to just add some sprinkles. So I grabbed whatever paint was left on my paper palette and I just started splattering it all over the surface. This is just such a fun way to finish off the painting, and it just is very relaxing, and I absolutely love the effect because it looks like the paint is bursting out of its canvas. This is the final results. I hope this session gave you a chance to slow down, reconnect, and enjoy the process of painting without thinking too much. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I paint lots of relaxing art tutorials every single week. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments, and I'll see you next time.